Welcome to SBR Sports Picks. I'm Peter Loshak. We are talking right now with Ian Cameron. We're taking a look at the overnight lines for Major League Baseball Thursday, May 19th. Ian Cameron, the openers just came out, and one thing caught my eye: Cleveland at Cincinnati, right? Both these teams, kind of uninspiring teams, at least as far as I'm concerned. And, I'm happy to generally looking to bet against both of them. But Cincy opened as a pretty solid home underdog here, and they've actually been profitable at home. They're about plus 10% ROI on the year at home. Cleveland been unprofitable, as you might expect, on the road at minus 15%. The starting pitching, Tomlin against Edelman, appears to me to be about a wash. They're both, actually pretty decent, but nothing too great. I think, you normally would expect some, 6 innings and between 1 and 3 runs from each of them. Why should Cincy be a home dog here of about plus 125, and does that have some value to you?
Well, I'm a big fan of Josh Tomlin and what I've seen so far this season from him. He's been very good. Cleveland just keeps winning games when Josh Tomlin's pitching. I mean, you look at the numbers. He's 6-0 Cleveland in Tomlin's 6 starts this season, a 3.82 ERA. He's allowed 15 runs and 35.1 innings of work. I love the peripheral numbers, 4 walks to 23 strikeouts. That's very positive sign for Josh Tomlin. No control or command issues. He's not a fireballer. He's not a flamethrower by any stretch of the imagination, but, he's been a consistent starter most of the season here for the Cleveland Indians. A guy that's been getting the job done. Now he's going to be taking on a Cincinnati Reds lineup that's a little bit feast or famine. Tim Adelman's getting the start here for Cincinnati. He's a guy that's really just a spot starter, in my opinion, in this Cincinnati rotation. A 3.38 ERA and 3 starts so far. He's been okay. He's been serviceable, but still not a guy that I prognosticate to have a long-term, big-time upside as a future Major League starter in the long term. So Adelman's still a guy that I really don't trust, and certainly I don't trust him to pitch deep into this ball game, which is another concern. You look at Adelman's first 3 starts, 6 innings, 5 innings, and 5 innings. That's a problem because Cincinnati's still the worst bullpen in Major League Baseball, giving up runs in bunches in the latter innings, especially their middle relief. They've had a couple guys in the back end that have gotten the job done from time to time, but if that middle relief has to rear their ugly head in these baseball games, that's when it becomes very, very dicey if you have a Cincinnati Reds ticket in your pocket. And, to me, there's no reason to be betting Cincinnati on the full game right now. If you like them, you got to take that horrendous bullpen out of the equation. Look, first 5-inning lines, in my opinion, if you like the Adelman side, and if you like the Reds in this game. But from my standpoint, I'd be more looking toward Cleveland than I would Cincinnati in this game. The price isn't great, but the Cincinnati Reds, I'm not a big Adelman fan. All Cleveland has been doing, winning with Josh Tomlin on the mound. Not sure that is going to change here in this game.
Okay, fair enough. And then another home dog that kind of caught my eye is the Mets at home against Washington. Harvey against Strasburg. Now, Harvey hasn't quite been, as lights out, or hasn't been definitively as lights out and dominant as he has been in the past. He's still been decent, though. And I think we can say the same thing for Strasburg. Not quite lights out, but pitching well, pitching decently. And, I liked the Mets as a home dog yesterday against Washington. And again, here, I'm just not quite seeing why the Mets should be a home dog plus 111 at Heritage, plus 113 at Pinnacle. Does that strike you as maybe a play with a little bit of value?
I think there is value on the Mets. That being said, I'm not going against Stephen Strasburg. He's been a guy that I've been looking to back, looking to support throughout the season, and he's continuing to pitch well and get the job done. Again, another team where Washington with Stephen Strasburg on the mound. Your perfect 8-0. The Washington Nationals with Stephen Strasburg on the mound this season. That includes 4-0 on the road. Actually, his road numbers, Peter, they're even better. 1.67 ERA, 5 earned runs allowed in 27 innings of work, 7 walks to 30 strikeouts. He's just been fantastic. He's been healthy, and I think that's a big reason why we've seen Stephen Strasburg bounce back and have the success that he's had. In fact, you go back to last season now, Nationals are 10-0 in Stephen Strasburg's last 10 starts going back to September of 2015. So it's been a very, very impressive run for the Washington Nationals and for Stephen Strasburg. Kudos to him. He stayed healthy. And he's starting to pitch like that big-time pitcher that he was expected to be when the Nationals took him in the draft years ago. Matt Harvey, on the other hand, he'll look to bounce back from his last outing. He was roughed up a little bit at Coors Field, and we talked about Matt Harvey in that start, Peter, a guy that had never started at Coors Field before, a guy that may not be familiar with the surroundings, may not be comfortable pitching in that ballpark, and he didn't look overly comfortable. He was smacked around by the Rockies, allowing 5 runs on 11 hits and 5.2 innings of work in that start. The good news here for Harvey is he does get to return home here to Citi Field, a ballpark he's more familiar with. But again, with Harvey, he's been a little bit more hittable this season. You see that he's been giving up 57 hits in 45 innings this season. So he's been giving up quite a bit of hits. That whip is at 1.53 on the season. Not exactly sparkling numbers from Matt Harvey. You know, the good news is for Matt Harvey, pitching in this ballpark against the Nationals last season, boy, he was pretty darn good. He gave up 1 run in 3 starts combined against the Washington Nationals, pitching here at Citi Field, and the Mets won 2 of those 3 starts. So, you know, he does have a good track record against Washington here at Citi Field. That being said, Strasburg, again, much like Josh Tomlin in the last game, Cleveland's been winning with Tomlin on the mound consistently, start in and start out. The same has been the case with the Washington Nationals with Steven Strasburg start in, start out. I'm not sure I'm ready to buck that trend here in this game.
All right, and one other guy where that has also been the case, Chris Sale on the other side of things here. Not a home dog, a huge home favorite, but maybe justifiably so. Opened at about minus 200 at home against Houston, and Chris Sale has made 8 starts for the White Sox this year. They've won all 8 of them. Houston has been notably bad on the road, minus 50% ROI on the road, and the White Sox have been a notably good home team. They're about plus 20% ROI at home, so all signs pointing to the White Sox here is minus 200. Too high of a line for you to think about taking the White Sox.
Yeah, this is nothing new or different, Peter, in terms of Houston's road struggles. This goes back to last season. They were not very good on the road either, and it's continued here into 2016. A 6-14 road record for the Houston Astros this season, but they were just as horrendous on the road, particularly in the second half of last season. And Colin McHugh's a guy that, you know, deserves credit for the season he had last year, but there were a lot of baseball, you know, advanced metrics stats people that said he couldn't do what he did last season again, and the proof has been in the results so far in 2016 for Colin McHugh. He hasn't been able to keep up what he did last year. He's been a regression machine waiting to happen, and it has happened. It's hit him hard so far. He's definitely reverted back to, you know, the sort of middling pitcher he was prior to joining the Houston Astros. He's got a 5.58 ERA on the season in 8 starts, and his road numbers are even worse. 3 starts away from home, a 8.74 ERA for McHugh, 12 runs on 18 hits and just 11.1 innings of work. More walks than strikeouts on the road, 6 walks, 5 strikeouts. Just not very good numbers at all for Colin McHugh away from home. Now he's got to face the surprising Chicago White Sox, who continue to get the job done, 24-15 on the season. And speaking of getting the job done, that's all Chris Sale does here for the Chicago White Sox. Just been magnificent. Again, what else can you say? White Sox a perfect 8-0 in Chris Sale's starts, a 1.67 ERA, 12 runs allowed in 59 innings, 10 walks, 53 strikeouts in those 59 innings. He's a K machine. He's been dominant at home, 2.14 ERA, 6 runs allowed on 11 hits and 21 home innings, 3 walks to 18 strikeouts. And if you're looking at playing Chicago, and that's the only side I would consider playing in this game or betting in this game, you got to look at the run line. Obviously, the money line's too high. You're probably going to get a run line price once the run line becomes available. -1.5 around even money, I would think, is the price you'll see. Maybe a slight plus price on that -1.5 runs with the White Sox in this game. And the White Sox, you look at the 8 starts that Chris Sale has made this season, they've won 5 of those 8 starts by more than 1 run. So 5 of those 8 victories that the White Sox have picked up with Sale on the mound have come by 2 runs or more. So you've got a little bit of a slight profitable profile with the run line with Chris Sale on the mound here for the White Sox. So anyone looking to bet the White Sox here, run line -1.5 runs, might not be a bad option here on Thursday.
All right, then we got 8 other games on the Thursday card. What else would you like to bring to our attention, Ian?
Yeah, a couple games, 2 sides for Thursday. Colorado, St. Louis. I'm a Jonathan Gray fan. I said it last time prior to his last start Friday night against the New York Mets. I recommended Colorado, a decent home underdog there. They get the win 5-2. He's an undervalued pitcher. And at this price, around +130, +135 right now with the Rockies, against St. Louis at Busch Stadium. He's absolutely, I think, worthy of support. His last 3 starts, he's allowed just 4 runs on 10 hits in his last 20 innings of work, 4 walks to 24 strikeouts. What a sparkling ratio that is. He's been at his best on the road. He's got a 1.38 ERA and a pair of road starts this season. And Michael Wacha is pitching for St. Louis, and he's been solid, not been spectacular, not been horrible. He's been solid. He's gone about his business, been okay. But the problem is St. Louis just hasn't been winning with Wacha on the mound. They're 0-4 in Wacha's last 4 starts. Colorado's lineup in much better form in recent games. They had won 5 straight as of this video being recorded. I think Colorado, with their young, promising starter, Jonathan Gray, on the mound, could be a live underdog in St. Louis on Thursday night. And another side that stands out, New York at Oakland. Ivan Nova's not going to be a guy that pitches deep into games, but he's done what the New York Yankees want him to do in place of Luis Severino, who's on the DL. Nova's making some spot starts. He's allowed just 2 runs in 10 innings of his first 2 starts against Kansas City and the White Sox. He hasn't pitched deep. He's gotten into the 5th and 6th inning, but he's had the Yankees in the game or with the lead as he exited the game, and that means you turn it over to the bullpen, a very good back end of that Yankees bullpen in a very favorable situation. If they're either in a close game or a tie game or they have the lead late, you can turn the ball over to power arms like Dellin Betances, Andrew Miller, and of course the closer Aroldis Chapman in situations like that, and the New York Yankees are going to win games more often than not. Kendall Graveman, on the other hand, for the Oakland Athletics, is going to get the start here. He's been hit hard repeatedly, 5.84 ERA this season. He's allowed 20 runs in his last 19.1 innings of work. Oakland just has not been winning whatsoever for Graveman this year. Oakland 1-6 in Graveman's 7 starts, including 0-3 at home. Yeah, the Yankees aren't a road favorite very often, nor do they often deserve to be one, but this might be one time when they do deserve to be a road favorite. I'd look to the Yankees there to get a victory on Thursday.
Okay, Ian Cameron, thanks for your thoughts, as always.
All right, thanks, Peter. Enjoy the games, and good luck.